I'm Navid. I'm CEO and founder of Propel Health AI. We built a data intelligence platform for healthcare and life sciences companies to harmonize real-world evidence from different sources within the hospital and leverage that for applications in clinical research, in clinical decision support systems, and for better partnerships with pharmaceutical companies in delivering better therapeutics to patients.
Super cool. And well familiar that there's, interest and work you're doing in Australia, but what brings you to Health Europe?
Looking at the market and what's going on here in Europe, where we spent last week in the NHS, spending time with a lot of different stakeholders there, learning more about what's going on across that system. Had a really good time at NHS Confed last week. Really, again, learning a lot more about the system. So I think it's been a really great opportunity and really excited about what we could potentially be doing here.
And what are the types of conversations that you've been having with attendees as they've stopped by the booth here in the pavilion?
Because there have been all sorts of conversations. There's been people representing the health system, really looking at how potentially our platform can solve their problems within the health system. We've had great conversations with pharmaceutical companies who we've been really excited on how we can help them engage better with their partners in the health system and really deliver better care to their patient populations and also drive really good commercial outcomes for the therapeutics that they are providing. We've had really good conversations with research folks and coming out of universities who have a really strong interest in population health research, all kinds.
Really
good.
And Navid, I know that you've been AI before AI was cool.
That's right.
And we've had conversations on the pod all pre all the hype and excitement.
Sure.
I'm curious in your take on the current appetite, interest, and you've got AI in the name, so you've ticked one box there. But in all seriousness, you've seen the practical applications of AI, machine learning, and now there's the large language model kind of world that we're living in. How do you find the application of new emerging funkier technologies and flavors of AI in the practical real world of what healthcare needs when it comes to better utilization of data and artificial intelligence?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, as you said, we've had great conversations in our previous podcast. This one maybe almost 6 years ago.
Yeah, way too long ago.
Yeah. Years ago now. We have been using AI in the traditional machine learning models, and to give you an example, a lot of natural language processing of unstructured data to really draw insights from those kind of data sets. There's a diverse set of data we have to deal with. There's diverse level of indications that we have to deal with across different disease states. This was a really huge application for us, but it was always that kind of initial technical configuration of our tools that we needed to do to really make those traditional models work for very different indications. Whereas I think with the advent of these large language models and these kind of more generative AI tools, we have the ability to just leverage kind of one brain and one engine and apply it to multiple different indications. It really accelerates the time to adoption, accelerates the time to realizing those values within those organizations, which with much lower initial investment that is required to actually draw those insights out of those kind of tools. We can really see productivity in actually the application of these tools has really significantly increased and really managing a vast amount of unstructured data that we have to deal with, which I think becomes also, it's kind of a double-edged sword with the new Stripe tools as well. We're producing more unstructured data, which hopefully AI can then help us with that as well. So there's a lot of applications in that. We are doing a lot of applications in clinical trial recruitment and finding patients for those kind of areas. So again, I think that's an area that can really help us with that as well. And one of the ones that I'm super excited about is really as medicine gets more complex, there are more complexities to navigate to put patients on different therapeutic pathways. I think these new kind of large language model generative AI tools has a great ability to help really level the playing field for everyone to understand the different options within the field. Maybe use AI to understand the different therapeutic guidelines and help doctors really follow those therapeutic guidelines in hopefully a much more efficient and seamless way than they are doing today.
Yeah, there's so many different applications and ways that the technology can be utilized in different levels of involvement and stuff like that. So that's really interesting. I guess lastly, the thing I think about is that consistently potentially global problems to solve, or utilizing AI in those ways that you've kind of outlined, whether it be in Australia or anywhere in the world, and kind of potentially consistent problems, but perhaps regionally specific regulatory requirements or regionally specific cultural differences, how are you finding taking, say, like applying what you've done in Australia into, say, other regions like the UK and Europe? And is there only a small gap to bridge? Is it a bigger? Does it all depend? I'd love to hear your kind of unfettered thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, there are different regulations that we have to manage. Let's pick cybersecurity as an example. If you're in Australia, you have the Australian privacy principles. In the US, you've got HIPAA. Here, you've got GDPR.
Yeah.
There's a lot of alignments between these different regulations, but there's also some nuanced differences that we have to really address. But we've really made sure to build a system and an infrastructure from the get-go that can really set us up for that kind of international expansion. We have certified our system to international standards like 27001. We've certified our systems against, made sure that we're compliant against HIPAA and GDPR. There's no actual certification for that. So while we've been operating in Australia, we always had an interest in expanding internationally. So I've been really trying to set ourselves up well for that. And then more when moving away from kind of regulations, there's also the language that people use, the specific clinical problems that they're interested in actually addressing. We call them electronic health records. They call them electronic patient records, EPRs here. So it's just getting used to the lingo and really the specific problems that they're trying to address, especially for us as a company that we have an infrastructure and a tool that is agnostic to the indication and to the specific therapeutics. And it could be tailored to different areas. So I'm trying to learn a lot about what are the specific things that the health systems, for example, in the UK or more broadly in other parts of Europe, they're interested to solve, and really make sure that we can tailor our solution to make sure that we can solve those problems as well.